Hey folks, this is Vincent Tiki with Dad's Gaming Addiction, and today we're going to quickly check out Warp's Edge. This is a solo game that takes about 45 minutes to play. That's right, it does. Yeah. So Tiki felt a little lonely, and I felt like playing Warp's Edge again. I have covered this before, a complete playthrough by the way, but today we're going to do a quick review for those of you that just like shorter videos. And Warp's Edge is kind of like a video game shmup, like Life Force, Contra, in the sense that like you're going from level to level to level to level, beating up all the minions, and then there's a final boss that you have to beat at the end. In this game, there's only one boss, but there are a bunch of minions in between. And it's a bag builder. So you're going to be building a bag of tokens that will make you more and more and more powerful as you go. And the shtick to this game is, you know, even though there's only one boss and, you know, a handful of minions, maybe 10, 20 minions, there's 4 warps. So like if you don't succeed on the first try, you go to the second warp and you repeat everything all over again. However, the boss does retain damage and the like, but still. So you've got 4 warps. Think of them as rounds, I guess. You're trying to get your bag strong enough to get through all of the minions and get to the boss and beat him. That's typically what this game is all about. Think of it as like a rogue light, or a roguelike, I should say, roguelike, where you are getting progressively stronger as you continue playing, and you are building that bag, as I was saying. So let's go ahead and flip the camera around and show you some of the components, and then I'll tell you what I think. All right, so here's a quick look at the front of the box, as well as the bottom half of it. There is an insert in there, but there's also more inserts over here to the left. Not only do these inserts serve as box storage, but they can be used to hold your tokens during the game. In the upper left, in red, are laser tokens, and on the bottom left in blue are maneuver tokens. These are both used to thwart enemy ships and do damage to them, and also to destroy the enemy mothership. In the upper right in green, you've got energy tokens, and these are used to buy new tokens to add to your bag, but they can also be used to recharge your shields. And then on the very bottom, these power, P-O-W-E-R tokens, those are special abilities that can be used during the game. And there's a whole bag of them. But what determines which tokens you use is dependent on the ship that you pick. There are 4 player ships. And on the very middle of this card, you can see what power tokens are available to that ship. So depending on what ship you pick, you're gonna seed this here and put the rest back. And as you can see, some of these player ships have different shields in green, hull in yellow. Like here's 3, 2, 1 shields, but on the reverse side is this Artemis, which has more shields and more hull to the right there, but also uses a different set of power tokens. There's no special ability on the very bottom, whereas this one here does have a special ability on the bottom. And on the bottom left, it says hold 1. Some ships can hold tokens, a number of tokens from turn to turn, and you know that way you don't, typically in a deck builder you have to discard everything and draw a whole new hand of 5 cards. Well, in this game you can actually hold tokens over, depending on your hold value, your hold size. So that's really cool. There are 4 different ships. Those are 2 featured there, and then you've got the Titan. Apologies for the glare. I'll try to not do that so much if I can help it. But yeah, I'm going to play as the Titan here shortly. It's got a lot of hull and a couple of shields there, which is nice, and has its own set of power tokens. And in the very beginning of the game, you're also going to draw 2 of these cards. Pick 1, and this is just a bunch of different like special ability power-up cards that if you spend the appropriate cost, like this is 2 energy. If I spend 2 energy, I can activate this for the rest of the game. For example, this says laser tokens you assign to targets this turn count as double their value. This effect lasts until the end of the turn. So yeah, some are permanent and some are like just for that round only or turn. But as you can see, there's a bunch of different cards here. Again, I'm not going to go through all of them, but there are quite a bit to look at. So typically every round you're going to draw 2 and pick 1 that you like. So, and there's quite a number of them, so you're going to see a lot of different variety there. And then you've got like the enemy minions. You've got This is the minion deck, but there's more minions too. There's a whole deck up there of minions. And depending on what boss you pick, you're going to create a deck based on what this says. Deck setup: 5 yellow minions, 4 orange minions, 3 red minions. Red are the hardest ones. And these are some of the ones that I didn't draw for this game. But the red ones are typically really hard. 9 is how many lasers I would need to defeat this one, but I would get this reward, a token of any type. Or instead of defeating it with 9 lasers, I can destroy it with 4 maneuvers, and I would get this reward instead. And then this is how much damage it does to you if you don't stun it. Whenever you attack it with either laser or maneuver, typically you stun it and it doesn't attack you. But some ships may be, have a special ability that might get rid of that. This enemy deals 4 damage to your shields. If your shields are at 0, it deals 1 damage to your hull instead. So yes, these red ones are really nasty, and then you get into like the orange and the yellow ones, which are a bit easier to deal with. So there's a whole deck of these minions, and only some of them will be used, and you're going to form your deck like that. The yellow ones go on top in the beginning, then orange, then red, but later on you are going to mix them together at some point once you get through them. And then the bosses, I think there's like, I want to say 5 bosses or something like that. I could be wrong, but there's difficulty on the top. Typically, there's a bunch of abilities it can do. Some cannot attack or be attacked until you get through all of the enemy cards. But as you go from warp to warp to warp, you're going to reset all of the ones that you've destroyed. So you have to go through all of the minions again just to get a shot at the boss. But hopefully on the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th warp, you're building your bag, you're making it better, and you're getting more powerful enough to take on everything in here as well as the boss. So you have 4 rounds to kill the boss, or if you happen to lose before then by getting destroyed, then you just automatically lose the game. But you have 4 rounds to beat the boss is typically what that is. Here's a quick look at some of the other bosses here. So here is the Hydra. That is a 2 difficulty boss. It has its own way of setting up a deck up on the upper left. This one, it looks like it can attack and be attacked every turn. So you don't have to get through all of these to attack this particular boss, but it will attack you and has special abilities to boot. And each section of the mothership requires different things to kill it. This one needs maneuvers, this one needs lasers, that one needs energy over there. So that's going to be tough. And then on the back of this, you got the array. That's difficulty 4. I didn't even look at that one yet. I'm a little nervous too. And then you've got this one here, which is a double-sided boss. Once you get through, I guess, this side of it, you're going to flip it over, and then it turns into, I guess, Megazord from Power Rangers with a lightsaber. Sure, we'll go with that. So yeah, so that's interesting. I haven't gotten to those yet because, well, I'm too casual. But there's a boss here, and there's a boss on the other side as well. So I guess 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bosses. Yeah. And then you've got your damage tokens. As you destroy sections, you're going to mark them so that you don't get hit by the damage that it does. So that's really cool. So yeah, ultimately what you're going to do in this game is you're just trying to get through all of the minions, get to the boss, do damage to the boss, and try and defeat it. Here's a quick look at the different, on the upper left there, what a turn typically entails. So this is like enemies arrive. So you're going to fill up the row up to 4, and then you're going to use the tokens that you've drawn from your bag to do various actions. And then the enemy will attack you. Any tokens that you've assigned but haven't killed, like if you've assigned tokens to an enemy but you haven't killed them yet, they are stunned and their attacks won't hit you unless there's a special ability that says otherwise. And then after you resolve attacks, you're going to draw 5 new tokens from your bag. If at some point you go to draw tokens from your bag and you can't draw 5, like let's say you draw 3, but you have none left in your bag, that's when the round is going to end at that point. You're going to move on to the next warp, and you're going to reset the array with all new cards and all that stuff. So you're going to sort of reset everything, except for the damage that you've done up here. So, but again, as you go from warp to warp to warp, you're going to be adding more and more and more and more to your bag. So you are going to have enough tokens, hopefully, to take everything out, as well as the boss, toward the 3rd and 4th warp. But in a nutshell, that's what this game is all about.
And there you have it. So what did I think of this game? Well, I think it's fantastic. There are only 4 ships
in the core box, and I'm very tempted to buy the Anomaly expansion, and there's another one. There's even a premium token set. I don't know how I feel about getting that. I think the tokens in this game as is are fine. They're not like paper thin. They're actually fairly thick. So I'm sure the actual upgrade tokens would be better, but I can live with this for now. Financially, it's just not in the cards right now. Speaking of which, feel free to, like, subscribe, and donate, Patreon, all that crap, whatever you kids do. So, so what I like about this game is that I can modify it to be easier or harder if I want it to. And I know some people don't like that. Some people are like, you have to play the way the developer intended. Me, I have no problem manipulating the game's rules to suit my needs to make it as fun as I can make it for myself. For example, in this game, your ships are limited to what power tokens they have based on the type of ship you have. So if you pick this ship, you have to have these 5 power tokens. You could, in theory, switch them out if you want to. It wouldn't exactly make the game balanced anymore. It might, break the game a little bit. You could do that, though. Like, this isn't a video game in the sense that, you don't need, say, Wiimote or, some cheat code to cheat and make yourself stronger. And in the board, any tabletop game, you've got free reign. You could do whatever the heck you want. You don't have to, like, enter a cheat code to manipulate the board. So, you could do things in this game to give yourself advantages, disadvantages, so that your play experience is a lot better. I would have liked to have seen more ships. I would have liked to have seen more bosses. I would have liked to have seen more everything. But, like I said, there are 2 expansions out there, and when I've got the money, I would really like to try them out. I don't have them, so I can't really comment on how good they are. But as far as a core game is concerned, with 4 different player ships, and I want to say, I think it was 4 to 5 or 6 different bosses, like, of different difficulties. They each do something different. I think you're going to get a lot of playtime out of this. You could, as a personal, milestone, you could try and play every ship against every boss. That'll take you a while. What is that, 24, 4 player ships, maybe 6 bosses, 4 times 6, 24, something like that. So, like I said, you can get a lot of playtime out of this if you so choose to. But some of these ships, I really don't like their abilities, so I kind of, shy away from them, unless you want to modify, and make it your own. But yeah, I highly recommend Warp's Edge. The production value is really good as is. I like all the different abilities. I like the upgrade cards. There's so many of them, and, you only get, there's 4 warps, so you're only going to see, 4 of those cards, assuming you don't beat the boss or lose earlier than that. So you are going to see a wider variety of upgrade cards from game to game to game to game to game. And I love the bag builder. I like engine building. I'm like Splendor. All of those deck building, tableau building games, those are my jam. I love those the most. That's right, I love those the most, I do. And a bag builder is kind of nice. Dice builders, but being a token / bag builder, this is fantastic. He's thrilled, you can tell. So, you look so bored. Yeah, you look bored, I know. He's tired, it's late at night. So anyway, do I recommend Warp's Edge? Absolutely, positively. Check out Warp's Edge. It's a solo game. So if you're used to playing with a large group of people, this is more suited for, hey, it's like late at night, I'm not doing anything, nothing's on TV, let's just play a game for, 30, 40 minutes. And it's fairly easy to set up and put away, too. And it's highly modifiable, like I said. This is Vince and Tiki. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you next time. Take care.